Good day, class. Sorry, yesterday I wasn't able to meet you now to continue our discussion because we had an emergency meeting yesterday. So, I was not able to announce it earlier. Anyway, we cannot meet today because of the transport strike, no, and then I still have an event pod. So, I made this video discussion so that you may watch it, no, at your most convenient time. So in this video, we will be discussing 2D moments. Actually, na-discuss ko na yung introductory part nito. Today, we will just be solving four problems. And then on the next video, or in the next video, I'll be discussing naman 3D moments. Then additional video will be added for couples. So that will be the coverage of your first exam, which will be on Monday. Okay? So this is my last discussion, Varignon's theorem. Again, this is one of the most useful principle of mechanics. It's because uh, when we are dealing with, let's call this, multiple forces like P and Q, we can what we can do first is that we'll have to resolve it or solve for its resultant. Then the resultant na ang ating i-move moment at a certain point. In Varinius theorem, you can just individually take the moments of P and Q and then you add it. That's the same thing when you take the moment of resultant at the same or at that exact point. Okay? So let's start with this sample problem number 1. So calculate the magnitude of the moment about the base point O. Ito yung dito natin yan imo-moment yung force na 600 Newton in three different ways. Una, by scalar method, yung moment is equals to force times perpendicular distance. And then we'll also solve this one by using Varignon's theorem and by the principle of transmissibility. So, una, let's start with by method of scalar. So, I have already given you the idea that at this point right here, this is the point of application ng force natin na 600 Newton. Going to this point where we want to moment it, this is not the perpendicular distance, tama ba? So the perpendicular distance will be most likely will fall. Okay, will have this form, no? Ito yun. In such a way na magkaka-create tayo o makaka-create tayo dito ng 90 degree. Ayan. But we need to solve for this value right here. Now, we need to understand that if this is 40 degrees Celsius, 40 degrees, sorry, 40 degrees there, kung yung 600 Newton, ita-translate natin dito, that's the same thing. Eto class, this is also 40 degrees. Tama ba? Then, if we will, okay, project that in this manner. So, yan yun, no? If this is 40, eto, magka-create tayo ng line dito. If this is 40 class, this one is what? This is 50 kasi yan ito lahat ito that is basically what? 90. Yan, tama ba? Now, eto if this is 40, this one also is 50, tama? If this is 50, this one also is 40 kasi dapat makakreate tayo ng 180 dito. This one is a triangle having 50, 40 and 90 degree. So basically, yung distance natin or perpendicular distance, we can say this is x1, this one is x2. So yung distance natin, perpendicular distance, x1 plus x2. So yung x1 obviously is 40, tapos meron tayong hypotenuse na 4 right here. So this one is actually adjacent to your 40. So with that means that is basically equal to 4, then that is cosine of 40. Ito na part, guys. Ito ang x sub 1. Okay? Yung x sub 2 naman, if this is 50, and this one is also 40. Tama ba? This one is also 40. So, ito 40, ito 50. So, because this one is 90. If this is 40, ang tanong ko naman is, ano yung distance na makukuha natin for this one? So, for that one, okay, if this is 2 class, so, di ba, tinranslate natin yung 600 papunta dito. So, that means, kung atin tong ipaproject pa, this one right here is also what? 2. Tama ba? Yan is 2. And this one is the hypotenuse of this triangle right here. If this is 40, this one is 50. Tama ba? Or pwede natin sabihin this one is what? 40 because opposite angle is equal. So ito 40, no? And this is the hypotenuse 2. This one is the opposite. So in other word, yung x sub 2 pala class is actually equal sa ito. That is opposite, no? That is 2 sine 40. Okay? 2 sine 40 yan. Kaya ang mangyari niyan, yung x sub 1 at saka x sub 2 will just be equal to 4 cos sine 40 plus 2 sine 40. Ito yung gagamitin natin na perpendicular distance, which if you will, sorry, if you'll use your calculator, hold on, kunin ko muna yung calculator. Ito. If you'll use your calculator, that is about 4 cosine 40 plus 2 sine 40. And that is equals to 4.35 approximately. This one is 4.35. Okay, that is in meters. So, nakuha nyo ba? So, again ha, this one, balik, kukunin natin yung perpendicular distance, no? Ito. So, sabi kanina, if we translate this 600 Newton, ito yan, no? And this one is 4 cosine 40. Kasi, if this is 40, this one is 50, this one is also 40. So, ito yung cosine yan, x sub 1. Tapos, ito naman, okay, this one is 2. Ito yung class. If this is 40, this one right here is also 40. Kaya ito, this is 2 sine 40. Kaya that is x sub 2. Kaya yung distance na nakuha natin, perpendicular distance is about 4.35. So, using scalar method, okay, 2 sine 40. This is x sub 2. Kaya using scalar method for letter A, that is moment is equals to force times perpendicular distance, that is 600 times 4.35. And that is about approximately 2610. Okay? 600 times 4.35, that is about 600. That is equivalent to exactly 2,610. That is your answer for letter A, no? Scalar method. So, let's try naman solving this one using what? Using Varignon's theorem. So, erase ko na ito muna ha. Using Varignon's theorem, what we can do is that we can resolve this 600 Newton into its scalar, into its component, no? So, ito, meron yung component, this manner, at saka ito papunta dito. Since, as you can see, itong component na to, we have already the perpendicular distance, which is 220, at 2 meters. At ito naman, we have a perpendiculars going to your point O, that is equal to 4, no? So, we can easily solve for the moment. Okay, so kunin muna natin yung components niyan. If this is 40, so ito adjacent side, meaning to say that is 600 cosine 40. Kung ito i-translate natin papunta dito, that is opposite ng 40. Kaya ito, this is 600 sine of 40. Okay? So, ito yung kagandahan ng Varignon's theorem because if we solve for the moment, we'll just sum all the moments, no, of your force, this one, and this one also. So, let's have this manner positive, no? So, una, yung 600 cosine 40, that is the force of this in horizontal component. At saka yung perpendicular distance niya is 4. Plus, ito naman, 600 sine 40. Okay? At yung perpendicular distance niya would be 2. Okay? So, therefore, your moment is actually equal to 600 cosine 40 times 4 plus 600 sine 40 times 2. That is 260 0.09 or approximately equal to what? 2610. Ito, no? Tama ba? By the way, the units of this one will be Newton meter. Okay, Newton meter yan. Kasi ito newtons, kasi ito meter. Ito din, Newton meter. Okay, that is your moment using Varignon's theorem. Now, for the last method, by principle of transmissibility. Okay, yung principle of transmissibility class, ito lang yan. No? Okay, this is the, ano no, the solution din. It's actually similar lang ito. Yung sa transmissibility law, what we can do is that we can translate this force, no? Etong 6 papunta din. Dalawang setup to. Ito, pwede natin yan translate papunta dito. So, meron yang horizontal at saka sorry for that. Meron yang horizontal at saka perpendicular. Meron siyang horizontal at vertical component. Pwede din natin gawin is that we can translate that force papunta dito, no? So, dalawang possible setup niyan. Kayo na bahala. So, bakit mahalaga ito? It's because if we translate this 600 Newton papunta dito, as you can see, itong vertical component niya will have no moment. Bakit? Because the perpendicular distance of that is 0 at this point. Now, ito, magka-cancel yan. In the same way, kapag i-translate naman natin dito yung 600 Newton, yung etong horizontal component niya will have no moment. Kasi again, yung force niya has no vertical or perpendicular distance. So, ito lang yung may moment dito at ito lang din may moment dyan. Okay? So, for this problem, so we'll have two possible setup for this one. No? Una, gawin natin itong setup na to. Let's call this setup A. Okay, ito naman setup B. Okay? So, for setup A, for A, ito na lang. For A naman, so, ito, what is again this component that is 600 cosine of 40? Ito naman, this is what? 600 sine of 40. So, no? So, as you can see, this is the perpendicular distance from this point right papunta dito is 4 plus some value right here, y. We need to solve for the value of y. If this is 40, this one is also 40. Ano no, sorry, mali. This one is also 40. Ayan. So, this one right here is actually 50. If this is 2, eto class, this is 2. Let me draw the diagram, no? A triangle above. Okay. This one is 2, and this one is 50. Tama ba? Because this one is 40. So, we can solve for the y. Okay, using lang tangent, no? Tangent 50, that is 2 over y. Therefore, your y is 2 tangent 50. So, therefore, for A setup, okay, your moment is equivalent to 600 cosine of 40 times yung perpendicular distance, which is 4, plus yung y, which is equivalent to 2 tangent 50. Okay, if you will solve this using the calculator, that is about 2610 Newton meter pa rin. Okay, for setup B naman, moment still. So, ito naman, 600 sine 40. Tapos, yung perpendicular distance niya, as you can see, this is 2. Tama ba? Ito class, 2 yan. And then ito, we need to solve for this value right here, x. So, if this is 4, this one also is 4. Tama ba? So, ito 40, ito din 40. So, we can use, okay, let me create the triangle, no? This is 4, this is the value x, and this one is 40. So, we can use the tangent pa rin. Tangent 40 equivalent to opposite over adjacent. So, x will be equal to 4 tangent 40. So, ito, mangyari niyan, that is 2 plus itong x, which is equivalent to 4 tangent 40. And that is still about, tama ba? Yes, this is still about, let me verify it using our calculator, no? So, this one is 600 cosine 40, and that is 4 plus 2 over tangent 50. Let's check if tama ba ito. And that is 2609, and that is about 2610. Now, kapag ito naman, yung isa, 600, this is sine 40, and this one is 2 plus 4 over tan 40. Tan 40. That is still about 2610. Okay? So, nakita nyo dito, using different methods, we can solve this problem. Okay? So, ano ba yung mas madali? Di ba, Varignon's theorem? Mas madali yung Varignon's theorem because for perpendicular distance, for this case, letter A, mahirap kasi because if ever na hindi mo master yung trigonometry. Pero with Varignon's theorem, madali lang. Okay? And also with this translating by translating the moment the force, sorry. Okay? Or principle of transmissibility. So, let's continue. Problem number 2. The cable, okay, the cable AB carries a tension of 400. Okay, 400 newton. So, yun, ito yung tension niya, 400 newton. Determine the moment about O of this tension as applied to point A of the slender bar. Again, this is 400 newton, no? Tama ba? Okay, 400 newton. So, let's take the moment at point O of this tension, 400 newton. Okay? So, what we can do is, again, we can solve this using Varignon's theorem. So, we have here the vertical component and the horizontal component. Since our 400 newton is in direction, kasi tension siya, that is always acting away from the point, no? So, this is 400 newton. So, hindi yan papunta dito, no? Okay. So, ito man yung kukunin natin. Basically, what we can do is draw a free body diagram having the vertical and horizontal component, and then we'll moment that to your point O. Now, take note, if this is 30 right here, ito 30. This one is also 30. Ito class, this is 30. Now, if that is 30, okay, let me just draw it. Okay, this is 30 degree. We need to solve for this angle right here, no? Para, ano, para makuha natin yung mga components niya. Okay, what we can do is that we can solve for this value right here. Itong yung y, no? Kapag makuha kasi natin to, we'll subtract it from here so we can have this triangle na ito. Ito. Kuha natin to, h, ito. From here to here, makuha natin yan. So, makuha natin yung angle nito. Since we can solve for the value right here for x. So, una natin yung x. Since this is 500, our hypotenuse, this is adjacent. So, x would be equal to 500 cosine of 30. Ito naman y, that is opposite. So, that is 500 sine of 30. Okay? So, we have the value of y and x. So, we can solve for the value of h. That is the totality, which is 650 minus, okay, that is 500 sine 30. Okay? And then, ito. That is the same thing as dito. Okay? So, let me draw this. So, ito, pwede na yan wala, no? So, we need to solve lang for the value of angle theta right here. So, that makuha natin yung mga components nito, no? So, let me just draw the triangle. Una. This is the triangle. So, ito, 650. So, what is 650? Unahin natin, sorry. So, saan na yun? Calculator. So, that is 650 minus 500 sine 30. And that is about 400. So, ito 400 yan, class. Ito, sorry. So, this is 400. Ito naman, 500 cosine of 30. That is 433. Okay, 433. 433 na nalagay natin. So, we can solve for the value of angle. So, that is tangent lang of theta. That is 400 opposite over 433. And angle theta would be equal to arctan of 400 over 433. And that is about 42.73 degrees. 42.73 degrees. Okay, yan na yun, no? So, therefore, this one is 400. Since this is the angle. So, this one is, if you translate that to other side, ito, magiging yan? Opposite na. So, that is 400 sine. Kapag opposite, sine yan. 42 of 73 degree. Ito naman, this is 400 cosine of 42.73. So, nakuha na natin. So, we can directly solve for the value of the moment, no? So, kunin muna natin yung mga perpendicular distance. Ito, 400 cosine 42.73. Perpendicular distance niya would be this one. And that is equivalent to this one. Tama ba? 500 sine 30. Ito naman, yung 400 sine 42.73. Atin yung ipaproject dito, yung perpendicular distance niya, ito. And that is equivalent to this one, 500 cosine of 30. Kuha ba? So, diretso na. Okay? So, we have here, 9 natin yung moment. Ito, 9 natin yan. That is 400 cosine of 42.73. Tapos, yung again, your perpendicular distance niya would be 500 sine 30 plus, ito naman, 400, that is sine 42.73, ito. Then, your perpendicular distance niya would be this one, 500 cosine of 30. Okay? So, i-solve using your calculator. Makukuha natin dito. Sige. That is 400 cosine 42.73 multiplied by 500 sine 30. Then plus 400 sine 42.73 times 500 cosine 30. So the answer for that is 19. Okay, 190983. 190983, that is Newton mm. Tama ba kasi naka-mm yan? Kung gawin natin yan Newton meter, so we'll divide it by 1000 mm for 1 meter. So therefore, your moment would be about 191 Newton meter. That is basically your answer for that one kasi ito cancel. Okay? So that is how you solve problems for problem number 2. Now, let's proceed. Problem number 3. So the force 30 Newton is applied perpendicular to the portion BC at the bend bar. Determine the moment of that force P about point B and point A. So we'll take the moment of that force P about point B and about point A. So, unahin natin yung about point B. So, as you can see, etong 1.6 Newton is 1.6 meter is actually the perpendicular distance na ng 30 Newton going to this point B. So, diretso na yan. Using scalar method lang, that is force times perpendicular distance, that is 30 Newton times 1.6. Okay? So, yan lang kadali for that one. And that is about 48 Newton meter. Okay, that is your answer for that one. Now, for point B na, point A naman, moment at point A, that is still force times, we can solve for, use this one, force times perpendicular distance. Pero, we can use the Varignon's theorem for that. So, gawin natin is that we can resolve, no? We can resolve this into two, resolve into its components. So, pero, okay, pero, ito yun. Can we say this is 45? Yes, this is the 45. So, if this is 45, create tayo dito ng triangle. Ito class, ito. Okay. If this is 45, this one is also 45, no? So, ito class, that is, because 45 yan, 45 din ito. And then, if this is 45, 45 din ito. So, meaning to say, this one is also 45. So, this one, yung vertical at saka horizontal components nyo would have 30 is equal. Equal lang yung magiging value niyan. This is 30 and that is sine 45. Ito naman would be 30 sa cosine 45. Since cosine 45 and sine 45 are numerically the same. Okay? So, yan yun, no? So, let me just erase, no? Para malinis. Okay? So, basta nakuha na natin or nasabi na natin that this one right here, ito and ito is equivalent to ito 30, okay, sorry, that is 30 sine 45. Ito naman, that is 30 cosine 45. So, yung natira na lang is perpendicular distance. Ito, i-project natin ito papunta dito. Then, we have here our perpendicular distance. Ito, D1. Ito naman, ito yan ha, para sa ganito. Ito naman, i-project natin yan dito, papuntang A. This is your perpendicular distance dito. So, ano yan, yung mga values na yan? For D1, okay, since this is 45, no, and this is 1.6, ito class, 1.6 yan. No, ito 1.6. If this is 45, this one is also 45 ito. 45 yun yan. So we can solve for the value of here. This is basically equal to 1.6 sine 45. Ito class. Hindi yung D1 natin. Yung dito naman, ito. Okay. If this is 1.6 sine 45, ito yung reference natin So ito, this is the same thing as with this one. So this one would be 1.6 cosine 45. If this is 1.6 cosine 45 plus 1.6, yan yung distance from this point going to this point. So in other words, so we have here 30 sine 45, that is this one. Okay? Then yung perpendicular distance niya, papuntang sa A, this one, D1, which is equivalent to 1.6 sine 45. Okay? Plus, ito, that is 30 cosine 45 multiplied by cosine 30, 45. Ito naman yung perpendicular distance niya. That is 1.6. Dito ko na nilagay, 1.6 cosine 45 plus another 1.6. Okay? So, yan yun, no? If you solve that using your calculator, that is about 81.94 Newton meter. Okay? That is basically your answer for that problem. Okay? For problem number 4, kindly solve this one. Okay? This will be your assignment. Okay? So, I hope nakuha nyo, no? Yung tawag nito, concept about 2D moments. Okay? So, in my next video, I will be discussing naman 3D moments. Okay? So, take care everyone. Bye-bye.